Oh, it's already recording. All right, I'm just gonna go for it, okay? I don't know, am I wearing my glasses or not? I think I will. So I was looking for a synopsis of the Chandler Halderson case, and I couldn't really find something that was sort of like quick and to the point. Like if somebody was just like, just give me the facts, I just want to know what happened, and I'll look elsewhere if I want something more detailed. So here we go. I just wanted to see if I could do this. All right, so this whole case takes place in Wisconsin, in Windsor, Wisconsin, and it's in July of 2021. So it really wasn't that long ago. Basically, what you hear on the news is that a young man was accused of murdering his parents and then dismembering them and trying to burn them in the family fireplace. And that's about it. And then they caught him because he was sloppy and went on trial and was convicted of this murder. So that is kind of the upshot. But you know, when I heard that, I was like, wait, I gotta know. There's got to be much more to this story than meets the eye. So I'm just gonna briefly try to explain that when you hear this story, your first thing is like, how did he get caught and why did he do it? So let's start with the why he did it, because that's something we'll never really understand. You know, it's one of those weird cases where an adult child ends up murdering their parents. We have the case of Jennifer Pan, who was a Vietnamese girl in Canada, I believe, who had like very, you know, her parents were like high achieving. They wanted her to do really well. They were maybe a little too pressury and so forth. And when it got to the tipping point for her, and she did something very similar to Chandler in that she pretended she was going to school, taking classes, and pretending that she had a legitimate job. And then her parents, I'm not sure if they found out or they were about to find out, or they basically made some stipulation that made her go, oh, I can't do this anymore. And so she arranged with some friends to pretend there was a robbery and that it would go awry and that both the parents would be murdered in the robbery. And so that did not go according to plan. Her father didn't die, only her mother did. And that outcome is really tragic because now her poor father is alive. He has his, only daughter is in jail and he will never speak to her again. And his beloved wife is deceased. So that's a big mess up. And then there was that other creepy guy, Joel Guy, who was much older than these two, Chandler and Jennifer. He was 28 years old, and he also murdered his parents and dismembered them. Which, that gruesome detail is always like, never lost on us. But in his case, like I said, he was older, and his parents had kind of like had enough of his, mooching off of them lifestyle, and basically said, you need to be on your own. We're not going to fund you anymore. And so he thought it would be easier if he just murdered them. And I believe that there was something to inherit, if not the home that they lived in, then maybe a life insurance policy. A lot of times life insurance is behind these choices that people make. And that brings us to Chandler. There was a $1 million life insurance policy that his father had. I don't know if his mother had a policy as well. His father was an accountant, so chances are like everything was like quite in order in terms of their financial situation. So the father had $1 million life insurance policy that would have bumped to the mother as the beneficiary if he were to die. But if both of them were to die, then it would get split between Chandler and his older brother, Mitchell. Okay, so this is a terrible case. I mean, forgive me for smiling. I'm just trying to like put all of these thoughts in order. So, Chandler, like many other sociopaths and people with problems, like anyone from what's her name, Casey Anthony, up to many other people who have been accused of murders, there's a web of lies that they had constructed. And when that web of lies gets out of control, there's almost a feeling of like, I got to do anything I can to make this stop. I've got to do anything I can to to not be shamed, or to not let my parents down. Weirdly enough, like killing them is better than disappointing them. Just think about that for a second. So Chandler was really the king of making these fabrications believable to his parents. This is during the pandemic, so it was kind of easy for him to pretend that he was going to college online and also had a job online. He was working from home. So he was lying about all those things, not entirely about the school. He had gone to, what is it called, MATC, for like one semester, but you know, then he dropped out, but he told his parents he was continuing to go. He also had a job at a place called American Family Insurance, which I guess is well known in Wisconsin. I had never heard of them, but it seemed like a lot of people who were testifying were like, oh yeah, American Family Insurance. Like, you know, it was like this legitimate place where a young person would work, and he was supposedly working in the IT department. So, instead of working from home, he would in fact get up early, because that would have been like a big red flag. His father was like, I'm sorry, why are you sleeping till noon when you have a job? Although, if he wanted to be really tricky, he could have said, yeah, I'm doing the help desk overnight, so that like people who have problems with their software can call me. You know, I'm manning the phones for the middle of the night shift, but he didn't do that. So he got up and he pretended to be at work in his room with the door closed, which was plausible, but instead he was playing video games on a platform where you play with other people from around the world. And one of the people that he sort of befriended on that platform was an American who was living in Germany, last name Smith, I believe, Michael Smith, and he, you know, they became friends. And when Smith came back from Germany and came to the US, he was the one who got Chandler a gun. Yeah, so that's a little messed up. You know, probably Chandler would have been able to get a gun anyway in Wisconsin, but who knows? There might have been some like hoops he had to jump through in order to get one, that might have involved other people, you know, signing whatever it is, like consent forms and things that you have to do in order to get a gun. So he bypassed all of that by getting a gun from his friend. I'm trying to remember what kind of gun it is, because I don't know a lot about guns, because I live in an urban environment, and guns over here are only used by criminals. Nobody keeps guns in their homes. I mean, an SKS rifle. So that's what he had. So anyway, this part is really interesting. The guy, the military guy who sold him the rifle, I guess he buys these rifles and then he customizes them a little bit with like sights and like silencers, and just he does little tweaks on them, and then he resells them. So he didn't actually sell this one to Chandler, he gave it to him. And when he gives or sells someone a gun, he takes a picture of their ID next to the serial number on the gun. And as when he testified, he said, in case something like this happens, which is really grim and foreboding. But anyway, so cut to the chase. Chandler has been in this like web of lies, and his father is starting to find out about them, and that's kind of interesting too, how he finds out about them. I'll get to that in a second if you want to keep listening. And he ends up feeling very cornered, like his dad's starting to figure out that he's not enrolled at this school, nor is he about to graduate, and that probably led his father to be suspicious about his actual job. So the house of cards was crumbling, and instead of, like, he had a really clear option there, which would have been, he could have continued to fabricate these lies, or he could have just been like, Dad, I'm really, really sorry. I'm really messed up. You know, maybe I need help or something, but I have been lying this whole time, and I haven't been doing what you think I'm doing. And I just, you know, feel really badly. That was a choice that he had. But I guess he just felt like he dug his hole so deeply that he just thought it was going to be okay to kill both of his parents. So from that gun that he got from his military friend, who he met on a gaming platform, he shot his father, and then, and this part is just, this really gets me, it's so grim. He texted his mom and was like, hey, can you bring some soda home, I'm thirsty, or whatever. He made up something about needing soda, and his mom is like, you know, KK, you know, like just like sweet and loving, and like had no idea that she was walking into a horror show. And who knows what happened in her final moments, you know? She walked in the door, and then did he shoot her right away? Or did she see her husband on the floor? Did he make sure that she moved into the room where it was going to be easier to clean up the mess? I don't know. I don't know. It's just horrific to think about. But what came next is even worse, because in order to get rid of the bodies, Chandler was like, I got to make these bodies disappear. How am I going to get rid of two fully grown human beings? So he proceeds to dismember them with, and the tools were found later. So it was something like hacksaws and bow saws, and there was even a scissors that was used. Horrible, horrific. Can you just, I'm sorry, but can you imagine cutting off the head of your own parent? I can only hope that when he did this, there was a covering over their head or something. I mean, how do you do that and then stick it in the family fireplace? The fireplace that no doubt in winters past you gathered around with your hot cocoa with marshmallows melting, and we're like, you know, oh, my parents, it's Christmas, I'm so loved. Oh God, the stockings hanging from said fireplace with Chandler's name and Mitchell's name, and maybe like two for their dogs, who knows? I mean, just just so horrific. So anyway, yeah, so he finds, and remember, this is July. Like, what the hell? The people in the neighborhood were like, what's going on over there? There's smoke coming out of the chimney. It smells like a freaking pig roast, and they can kind of see the fireplace is on, you know, like through the window. They have some surveillance footage that shows the fireplace on and lit and flaming up a storm in July. I mean, Wisconsin, you know, it still gets hot there. You know, and it was hot that summer. Oh, just so gruesome. So anyway, then he figures out this isn't going to work. The fireplace basically implodes. The glass on it breaks, and you know, things keep going wrong, and it's really hard to incinerate humans. If Chandler knew anything about anything, he would know that the temperatures required to cremate a body are higher than any oven, fireplace, or fire pit you could ever imagine. And I'm afraid the same thing might have happened with the Daybell, you know, Chad Daybell, Lori Vallow case, because they tried to burn the remains of poor Tylee, and that didn't go well either. So anyhow, so we're back to Chandler. He can't, you know, effectively get rid of the parents' bodies in the fireplace. So he finds places to move. He gets a tarp and he decides to move the body parts to different spots. So one spot he goes to is like his favorite secret swimming hole. I don't know how far it is from his house, but he's so careless that he takes his phone with him, and his girlfriend has his Snapchat location in her Snapchat, so she can see that he's in this weird spot at a weird time of day, like very early in the morning. And so she screenshots it. I guess, I mean, she wasn't suspicious at all. She just was like, what the hell is he doing there? And then here's the worst one. On the 4th of July, he kind of acts like it's any regular old day. He reports that, like, his parents are up at the cabin. That's where they are. And he got a text from his mom that says, like, you know, oh, we're here. And it's like, we're having a good time. We're going to go to the parade today, something like that. So on the actual 4th of July, he spends the day with his girlfriend at her mom's farm, or maybe the farm belongs to her mom's partner. So there's testimony from the mom and her partner about how Chandler came to the 4th of July barbecue and seemed a little off, but they could blame that on the fact that he had had some neck injury, which that's another piece to the story, something that he kind of fabricated. Nobody really knows if he really fell or had a concussion, but certainly he didn't have like neurological damage. That was testified to. So anyway, he's at the farm and he says to his girlfriend's mom, hey, would it be okay if I come by tomorrow? I'm still kind of like sore and I need sort of physical therapy for my legs, or they're kind of weak, they're not working right. Like, it's somewhat plausible, right? A swimming pool would be a good place to do that and get a little physical therapy, but maybe he should have been like getting actual physical therapy. And the mom's kind of like, okay, except that your girlfriend Kat is not going to be here tomorrow. She has to work. And he's like, it's okay. I'm just going to use the pool. I won't be any bother. So he comes over in his car, and instead of going into the pool, which they know because they keep like a solar cover on it, and it wasn't folded back. Instead of going into the pool, the mother sees after some time his car is in the middle of the field. Now this farm had like, a lot of acreage. So he was kind of like in the distance, but there was the car kind of backed up to the tree line of the forest with the trunk up, the hatchback up. And she just was like, something is really weird about this kid. And why is he doing that? And so her first thought, and she confers with her partner, it was kind of like, what the hell, is he out there doing drugs? Is that what he's trying to do? So she quasi confronts him, but he sticks with his story. He's like, oh no, I was just checking things out and whatever. I don't know, he makes up some lame excuse for why he was out in the middle of nowhere, but he pretends to go back to the pool. I don't think he actually swims. They kind of like want him to leave already. They're weirded out by all of this, and they are the ones who end up calling the police. That's how like weirded out they were, because at the same time, several days are going by and he hasn't heard from his parents. So he starts telling his girlfriend, like, this is weird, I haven't heard from my parents, making up some story that they went up to the cabin with some couple, they left their car here, they took a bunch of booze and money, I think they were going gambling. Like, he's making up some story that isn't sitting right with anybody. On top of that, the parents don't show up for work on Monday or Friday, whenever they were already dead, and they didn't show up for work, and that was already starting to raise flags, because they were both very responsible, and they wouldn't have just taken a day off without informing their colleagues or their employer. So everything is starting to look very weird and very suspicious, and the detective comes out to the farm, and this part is really gruesome. He comes out to the farm, and the cat's mother, right, the girlfriend's mother, says, yeah, he backed his car up into the wood tree line, and I don't know what's up there. And he goes to take a look, and as he gets closer, he sees turkey vultures circling over the woods, and he's like, okay, that's not good. That's what he's thinking to himself. And why is that not good? Because turkey vultures only circle when there's a carcass to be had. And so, sure, it could have been a dead deer or something else, but given all the other information that he had, he was just like, this doesn't look good. So he gets out there, he pokes around, and lo and behold, he finds a torso. And it's under some branches and so forth, but it's not 100% concealed. And he takes a look, and I actually saw a picture of it on Reddit. I won't include it in here because, once again, it's rather grim. But it was really horrible, startling. Like a person, his father, no head, no arms, pants and belt still on, and cut like sort of like where you'd cut off shorts. Unbelievable. And then when they turn over the torso, they see that there's gunshot wounds in the torso. So they know that this homicide was caused by gunshot wound. All right, so I think that's all I'm going to do for right now. That's so much longer than I intended to go. But All right, let me just wrap up the story. So all the pieces start falling into place. The parents are missing. They go up to the cabin. The parents are not there. Not only are they not there, they never got there. They were never up there. The detectives start looking at the phone records, or looking at the texts, the snapshots, the screenshots, are looking at where the towers pinged. They discover that the text supposedly sent by Chandler's mother that says, "Hi, we're here, we're going to the parade today," was sent from their home. And lo and behold, they find her phone still in the house, which Chandler had weirdly wrapped in tin foil. Where did he learn that? From Better Call Saul? Like, that's not a thing. You don't wrap it up in tinfoil and it's unreadable. There were so many mistakes that he made. Just the stupidity there is just boundless. Not only like the web of lies that were easy to find out. Did I mention that all the that all the emails that he had going back and forth between his company and his school were all at Gmail? Like, nobody, he didn't think that if he showed those to his parents. That's the other thing. It's like, if my kids did that to me, I would be like, what? Are you kidding me? You expect me to believe this? A whole bunch of emails like from a school that are all at gmail.com instead of the name of your school.edu? What? Who? I don't know. It was almost like the parents had their head in the clouds, which, sometimes parents do when they have a problem child. And that's the other thing. He's the second kid. And I have heard sometimes that when there's two kids and they're close in age and they're of the same gender, they can either be incredibly close and just like almost like twins, but just like close siblings, or in certain circumstances, and this is sometimes predicated by the way the parents behave or the way they treat them, the younger sibling can feel very much intimidated in the shadow of their older sibling. Like, always feeling like they have to be the same or as good or better. They're always feeling like they have this model that they have to uphold, which is their older sibling. And since Mitchell, by his own testimony, had a good job, had purchased a house, had a fiance, was kind of moving in the direction of what parents traditionally want and expect their kids to do, and Chandler was nowhere near that. So, not that that's an excuse, obviously, to kill your parents, but maybe it explains a little bit about like the twisted motivation of, I'm never going to be like my brother. So I got to like come up with some scenario that's going to, appease everybody. Sorry, until that scenario falls apart. Okay. That's it for today. Thank you.